Welcome to Tentative Title with Tim. This is a podcast about creativity, about process, about filmmaking, and about screenwriting. Welcome everybody to the show. How's everybody doing? It's mid-December 2020, and we are almost done with this year. And it's really crazy to think that that we've spent most of 2020 in a pandemic. This is like unprecedented. I know you've heard that word like nonstop throughout this year, but it still rings true. Like I've never, in the years I've been alive, I've never experienced something to this level, as I'm sure all of us, can say the same. And so, yeah. What I really wanted to talk about was something that I've been thinking about for a while, and that's this idea of being an outsider. And I don't know how many of you feel like outsiders. I think it's pretty easy as an artist to kind of feel like you're on the outside of society, on the outside of what is considered to be normal. When someone asks you, what do you do for work? And you try to tell them that, you're a director or a cinematographer or an actor. And then you try to explain what it is that you have to do for work. I'm sure you get a lot of looks of well, that doesn't sound like a real job. That sounds like you're just fooling around and not being serious and getting, a 9-to-5. And, I don't know what to say to that, but it's like people make good money, do it like being in movies and working on movies. So I don't understand why it's not a real job, but, we'll kind of leave that where that is. But then we also feel like outsiders within the community of being artists and filmmakers, because there are many different levels and I guess tiers of accomplishment when it comes to your career as a filmmaker or as a writer. At least that's what it seems like, right? Like when I was a kid, I thought that to make it in Hollywood meant that you had to be on a studio lot with a loft where you were writing scripts or working on a soundstage, and then, possibly going to hang out afterwards, after the day's filming was done. That's the I guess romanticized idea that I had in my head about what it meant to be on the inside of Hollywood. And that's really just because of what I was seeing through movies and television that was about Hollywood. And that it sounded like a great idea because it meant shutting out the world to work on something that was really cool and possibly really bizarre, or just, it just seemed like a lot of fun to just go to a soundstage, shut out the world, film something really cool, cut it together, and then release it, to the public. And I've never stopped being excited about that idea. And mostly because, as somebody who was really, really shy growing up, and for the most part, I'm an introvert. I like kind of separating myself from, from large crowds and just kind of being on my own, with my own thoughts and being able to kind of go at my own pace. So being an outsider in the community of being a filmmaker is also something that may just be constructed in my own head. because I don't think it actually exists much anymore. Like the digital age has allowed for us to make content that we want to make, put it out onto the internet, and have people watch it. And that's something that we've never had access to before. Like, back in the studio system, you could only make movies through that system, and they were released into movie theaters, and then when VHS came around, you could get it, and watch it at home, and that was really exciting. And same with like DVDs and Blu-rays. But that was kind of the pipeline, that you had to go through that in order to make anything. Now, as the technology for cameras got cheaper, you could still make an independent movie and sell it to a studio, and then that may or may not, like, the general public probably was not aware of it, like, almost ever, unless they picked it up at like Blockbuster or something, and then you cultivated a small group of fans who like loved your work, but the general public would have no idea who you were. But now, like, there are so many avenues to create fans for your work, that, like, this idea of being an outsider to the system is almost irrelevant. There's still studios that are making these big budget blockbusters, and that's a tier, the top tier to aspire to, I guess, if that's the level that you want to work at. But I think most filmmakers just want to make whatever film, whatever story they're trying to make. They just want to be able to do that, and to be able to have people watch it. Like, that's the bare minimum, is just having it made and having people watch it. And then, well, on top of that, I guess the icing on the cake is being able to make money off of it, and to be able to make another one. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot this year, and just looking at my own professional career, and thinking about how I'm comparing myself to people who have been able to make deals and sell scripts during this pandemic. And that's really exciting that that's still happening, and that there's still a hunger to create content, especially with all these streaming sites that are going to need more and more content, because they really want people to subscribe to their service. And so they're just looking for, like, everything. And that's really exciting. But I still feel like I'm an outsider, because I don't know quite yet. Like, I haven't broken through that threshold to have any one of those production companies or studios look at any of my work yet. And so I still kind of feel like I'm inching closer and closer to breaking through that first wall, to level up, so to speak. But I still feel like I'm like, oh wait, I'm still an outsider, and I'm still like nobody knows who I am. I'm still like a nobody, basically, in terms of like my professional career. And but I don't want it to be something that stops me from from moving forward. And I think that's a mind game that is played with a lot of us, is that we kind of just either we say, okay, I'm an outsider and I'm fine with that, so I'm just gonna throw out my hands and go off and try to make stuff on my own, but that's even more of a struggle than it is to like try to get in the door so that you can meet people who will have resources allow you to make more professional looking films and television. And I think that's like what I'm trying to get at, is that, like, yes, now the field has been leveled in terms of like being able to get our foot in the door, to be able to sell a script or to sell a pitch to a production company, because there's a hunger for more content. But it also means that, like, you can still we're still outsiders even if you sell something to a studio. Like, that idea of being an outsider, it's like we're all outsiders. Like, I don't think there is like unless you're working at the top tier of Hollywood, like, we're like there's more of us on the outside than there is of people on the inside of the system. And that's encouraging to be an outsider, and it should not be looked at as like a bad thing, but it's still this kind of like this paradox, I guess you could say, of like wanting to work at a top tier level at the same time, like not wanting to be stifled by it, and being able to make whatever you want, but still being an outsider. So I hope that made some sense. It's just like something I've been thinking about all year, and just I'm trying as much as I can to kind of like get my foot in the door, but then at the same time I'm like, well, if I get my foot in the door, like what is going to, like, what does that mean? And it, like, where, like where does that happen? And like, how am I going to work my way up? Or do I even need to work my way up? Like, am I wasting my time and my energy wanting to be a part of any of this? And when I could be just going and making my own stuff and creating my own, like cultivating my own audience around what I'm making, and not trying to be part of the inside, not trying to be part of all that, but just creating my own. Because now I have the opportunity to do that. I have the opportunity to build an audience around the things that I make, and I may not need to like work so hard to be on the inside, because like I'm creating it right here, right now, like as I speak, so to speak. So, all right, guys. I just kind of wanted to put that out there and see if anybody feels the same way. It's one of those things that I think I go back and forth about, like just kind of holding on to this old idea of being part of a studio system, in which, like, I'm on a studio lot making movies, and, even though that sounds very unrealistic nowadays, and then being completely on the outside and saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going to make my own stuff. I'm going to write the things I want to write. I'm going to, do whatever it takes to kind of like hold on to my identity as an artist and as a filmmaker, because I believe, by some delusion, I guess you could say, that, like, if I hold on to that somehow it's going to stand the test of time, and that that something that I make outside of constraints will live on beyond me. But those things, even if you're inside the studio system, there's no guarantee that what you make is going to last, or that it's going to be remembered at all. So all you can do is really just make the things you like, the things you love. So anyway, guys, once again, I hope everybody is being safe. I hope you're wearing masks and social distance and sanitizing, washing your hands, all that stuff. At least for the time being, until we have the vaccine rolled out to the point where we can walk out in public and not have to worry about this thing. At least not to the extent that we have been throughout 2020. So. All right, guys, I'll talk to you on the next one. Also, if you haven't done this already, I have a Twitter account for the podcast. It's at title_Tim. And I also have a Facebook page as well, and you can subscribe to that, and I will put episodes up there and any updates. So yeah, come on by, say hi, and yeah, till the next one.